Hey guys, and welcome to episode 13 of the Silverback Blueprint podcast. First three things. This is something that I've talked a bit about before, about what we want to do as sort of a ritual as early as possible, first thing in the morning to get our day started. And I find for me, these three things have become super critical, and the days I don't do them, huge difference at the start of the day. And this even goes even before journaling and those things you've heard me talk about before, and we'll talk a bit about it this morning. I'm thinking about the mornings. We'll talk a bit about it a little further on in the podcast. But to me, there's three critical physical things that I like to do. And we talked on an earlier podcast about the quick and fast decisions, the 5-second rule, the five countdown that I told you I first got introduced to you by that lady. What's her name again, Luke?
Mel Robbins.
Mel Robbins. So a little shout out to Mel Robbins. Really cool little video. We'll put some links in the show notes on this as well. And it was just a cool little tip, and I like it. And it really gets your mind set on how important it is just to trigger a couple of things right away. Because if we don't do it, we have trouble getting out of bed. We find all kinds of reasons not to get out of bed. We start negotiating with ourselves. Hey, I can hit the snooze button 9 more minutes, and then if I get this one, and we'll sit there and we'll actually picture how our morning will be if we sleep for 18 more minutes and what we can do and that kind of thing, right? And it's not positive. It doesn't lead to anything, and it sets the wrong tone for the day. It creates the wrong mindset overall, and it's all about mindset, as you've heard us talk about many, many times. So the first three things I do. And everyone can be a little bit different, it's like anything else, or don't fucking do anything about it and don't change. But for me, the three things that I do right off, as soon as the snooze button goes off, I sit up right away and I drink 8 ounces of cold water. Just go up to the sink, pour some water, let it run a little bit, drink it, and boom. The second thing I'll do is I'll grab my iPhone and not check my emails and that kind of stuff, right? That's not what you want to do. But what I'll do is I'll switch it on to an app I have, and I'll start listening to some motivational speeches. I use an app called 8 Tracks. If you search it, the number 8 and then tracks spelled properly, not with an X, on your iTunes App Store or Google Play or whatever you're into. I know they're on iTunes. I don't know if they're on Google Play, but basically it's kind of like a Spotify thing overall, where people create these playlists and then upload them, and you can listen to them for free unless you try to listen to the same one 3 times in one day, that kind of thing. So just type in motivational speeches and start listening to some of them. I kind of do this ahead of time so you have them ready, and you'll find 1 or 2 playlists that are your favorite. I have 3 or 4 that are my favorite, and then sometimes I'll listen to, if you let it play, it'll move on to different playlists under that same genre, and you might hear a different one that you really like and stuff. So I fire that up right away, and then the first thing I do, if it's summertime or late in the spring, is I go outside and I jump in my pool right away. And I don't care what the weather is, right? If it's like this morning was cold because it's gotten cooler, just jumped in. If it was raining the other morning, I'm going to get wet anyway, I just go jump in the pool. And I actually start that as soon as I can get the pool open. So I try to get my pool open by the first weekend of May. If it's a little warmer, sometimes the end of April. So, when I'm first jumping in that pool, sometimes it's like 55, 56 degrees. That's cold. But I'll tell you right now, man, does that ever wake you up and stuff? And then it's just, you come out, jump out the other side, you swim pretty fast when it's 50-some degrees in there. But man, it wakes you up. It's like electric. And then in the winter, or the pool's closed or whatever, or if I'm not by my pool, I'm staying somewhere else, I'll go into the bathroom and I'll get in the shower and I'll turn the shower on and I'll slowly turn that water as cold as I can handle it. And again, right, it just fires everything up. It just gets the blood flowing, wakes you up, snaps you out of that funk and those cobwebs. And those 3 things all happen within a matter of 2-3 minutes. The most important one though, guys, is sitting up right away. Throw the sheets off and sit up. Hit that snooze button, and I find once I get in that groove, a lot of times I'll wake up 5 minutes before the snooze button, and then I'll do it, right? But I'll tell you, once the alarm goes off, I find it easier to sit up automatically, to make that quick decision. So I don't know if now it's kind of like a Pavlovian response to that noise, just sit up and that kind of thing go, whereas if you wake up and you look over the clock and, the alarm's going to go off in 10 minutes, it's kind of natural. You're going to just sit there and say, all right, I'll just close my eyes for a bit and then, enjoy the last 10 minutes of my sleep period. So it just depends. It depends if I got a day where I got lots going on and I'm pumped, I'll jump out of bed no matter what happens, even if it's like half an hour before the thing. But my commitment to myself is the moment that snooze button goes, or the alarm button goes, I hit that snooze once, jump up, turn the alarm off, because God forbid it goes off when I'm in the shower and my wife has to deal with it. We don't want that, because that'll set up a horrible morning for yourself. And then just take action. Drink that glass of water, turn on those motivational things, and then get outside and jump in that pool or get in the shower. And again, minutes later, you're 100% awake. You're wide awake. It's such a huge physical shift that you're ready to rock. And then at that point, then I'll get into my journaling. We've talked a bit about that before. If I have enough time, and I try to plan my mornings out, so if I have to be somewhere by 9, I really try to make sure I'm not getting up at 8:45. You're never going to be productive that way. You're never going to be set up. I try to be up at least an hour and a half before I have to do anything. So if there's an appointment or if I have to teach a class, I really want to be awake. I want to be awake. I want to have gone through these things so that my mind is in the right state when I have to have that meeting, or in the right state when I'm there to teach a class or train a client, to give them, that quality class and that energy that they're there to get as well. Because for them, that's part of their ritual, especially if they're training in the morning, is to get there and get motivated, get inspired, pound out a great workout, and then go about their day. And that's one thing I'll tell you is, I find that the clients I have, the earlier I see them, those clients tend to get a lot of shit done because they're starting their day early. For a lot of them, they're so busy that they know that if they wait till the evening, it's really hard for them to get in at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night. Now, that could be because they have jobs that go later, or it could be, most likely, they have families and children at ages where they got to take them to hockey and soccer and those kind of things, right? So they've got a lot more commitments. So for a lot of people, it's not a normal thing to train that early in the morning, but once they find that they get used to it and then they see the benefits of having their evenings freed up, it makes a big difference. It's really cool to see too that every once in a while, one of my morning people, for reasons that happen sometimes, can't make a morning class and they come in and do the evening class. They're like, whoa, this is really weird. What's, that kind of stuff. It's a different time of day for them. Their body, their biological clocks or whatever aren't used to it. So it is a challenge, and that kind of reinforces for them that, no, I'm better off in the morning and that kind of thing. But still rather see them get that workout in one way or the other. But those three things, first things that I do, make a huge difference, and it really sets it up. Now, if I have a morning where, I've designated, a night or two before that I do want to sleep in, I want to catch up on some sleep. In the last few weeks, I've been pounding a lot of midnight 1 a.m.s, working on some other things. And I'll say, hey, this morning coming up, I do want to sleep until 8 or 9. I'll move my alarm up. I'll make that happen. But I still work on that same ritual, because if you're tired, you can sleep until 10, 11, 12 o'clock. And then, doing it once in a while, it's okay if you really need it. But I find when I get up at that time, I feel like I've wasted a day, and then I'm hard on myself and I'm frustrated. And it's like, if something doesn't go well, I'm like, oh, that's what happens when you sleep in, right? That kind of thing. So I really try to take control of the sleep factor, and and we'll do a podcast on this a little later on. I'll get a little more information as to why I do it this way. But I try to sleep 6 or 7.5 hours to time it with the REM cycles, your deep sleep cycles, so that you wake up a little more refreshed and better timing and waking up. You don't kind of break the middle of a cycle just to wake up because your alarm went off. So I try to control that more. So sleeping purposefully with a schedule and under certain conditions makes a huge difference. And we're seeing a lot more information coming down the pipe, how that quality of sleep and how you do it is far more important, especially as we get older, and especially if we're dealing with a lot of things in our lives. We want to get quality sleep in so that our stress levels don't get even higher and our cortisol levels don't even get higher, because when we start having sleep deprivation, it affects us physiologically, it affects us mentally, it's into our state of mind. So we really need to protect that, right? And that's something we'll get a little later on. I want to get a little more information, a little more structure as to, why I do it that way. I want to have a little more just actionable things for you guys to work on as well. But like I said, those 3 things, if you're only doing 1 or 2 of them, add the third one. So get up right away, drink that water. Number 2, get your mindset going by listening to something positive. It might be classical music, it might be heavy metal music, whatever gets you into that positive take action frame of mind, I think is really important. And then number 3, the cold shower or jumping in the pool. Contrast bathing is something you can look at, where you go a minute with cold water and then you turn it up to hot water. You go back and forth a few times. That's another way just to stimulate some hormone production and just get the body ready and the adrenaline and stuff. But get those first 3 things going. But right away, sit up, turn off that alarm, stand up, right? And sometimes it might feel like that's going to be the biggest, toughest thing you have to do that day. But once you've done it, once you sat up and stood up, you're up. And then get that water in, hydrate right away, and then move on to mindset, and then that physical change, that physical shock of jumping into something cold, or whether it's a pool or a shower, but change that physical state, right? So right off the bat, we've made 2 or 3 big interruptions, and then we're setting the groundwork, we're setting the environment for you to be ready physically and mentally, and then that journal, sitting there, working on your thoughts, organizing your day, a little bit of reading, a little bit of reflection, super, super valuable. And I'll tell you, once you do those first 3 things, you're in much better position to want to do that journaling and to want to have that ritual going overall. So this is how each thing leads into the next thing, right? I'm not going to lie to you, especially if you're having trouble getting up in the morning and all of a sudden you're getting up, and I recommend half an hour earlier. So if you're struggling to get up at 7, get up at 6:30. If you're normally struggling at 6, get up at 5:30. Nobody ever fucking died from getting up early, right? This is that bullshit. I get, well, I can't miss my sleep is the comment I get. And then the second comment, they tell me about, again, the 3 things they watched on Netflix last night, right? So at the end of the day, you decide when you're going to shut things off. You decide how you're going to fire your day up and stuff like that. So again, this whole like, oh, no, I can't get up at 5:30 because what? It's fucking bullshit, right? No one, like you said, get up half an hour earlier. Get your day started. And you know what? You're going to find your productivity through the day under these circumstances is going to 5x and 10x almost overnight. You get a shitload more stuff done. And you know what? If you got, if it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you're tired and stuff like that, have a bulletproof coffee, some good quality coffee like here at Happy Goat with some coconut oil, and get that shit fired up and stuff. And then you know what? Nothing wrong with that night going to bed a little earlier because you're tired until you get that new pattern, right? And that's another thing. Well, I can't go to bed at 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, why? Why can't you? Now, you don't want to go to bed before your kids. If you have little kids and stuff, you got to make sure they don't set shit on fire while you're asleep. But you know what I mean? Who says you have to stay up till 11 o'clock at night? Again, do an audit. What are you doing at night? What are you doing once you get home from work and you have supper and stuff like that? And again, this is where a lot of guys get stuck, and it's a big thing to break. But they're sitting on their fucking lazy boy, and they're sitting on the couch, and they're stretched out, and they've watched, I got to watch my shows. And I go, well, why? Pick one that you really like. The rest is garbage, right? You're just watching because you're stuck in that state. So break some of those habits. And the easiest way to do it is get up half an hour earlier, get those 3 actionable things happening overall. And like I said, you do that consistently for a week, you're going to see a huge difference, right? And then after that, you just got to fight to make it a habit. And then what's really interesting is once you've been doing that for a while, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, and then you have a couple of mornings where for whatever reason, you just have a shit morning, you don't do those things. You know what's going to happen? You're going to sit there halfway through the day and you're going to realize what a difference that makes, right? And that is super powerful. When we see what it's like when we're not doing those positive things, it's a great way to remind ourselves, this is exactly why I'm doing this overall. So you got the 3 things to do, get that going. And you know what? Just spend this next 7 days focusing on those 3 things, and then let the other things fall into place. All right, guys. So listen, please be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes and give us a 5-star rating. It helps us out a lot, helps us be found, helps spread the word. If you need to get a hold of me, you have any questions, comments, get a hold of me at kurthaas@gmail.com, and I'll talk to you guys later.